The Cartier Santos is a sports watch? What even is a sports watch? Cartier calls the Santos the world's first pilot's watch. I'm just imagining a pilot in a dogfight trying to read a mess of Roman numerals. Hey guys, I'm Max and this is Watch Crunch. Imagine watchcrunch.com as your watch meetup group in the metaverse. More about that at the end of the video. So I was visiting my AD recently to try on a Cartier de Santos medium. Obviously a well-loved watch judged by the number of YouTube videos I've seen on it. Now right next to it was something that really caught my eye. This watch looked similar but different. Also square but with thinner bezels that slope down to meet the case. It looked like the Santos had gone to finishing school and learned his etiquettes. This was the Santos Dumont. Reintroduced in 2019 in men's sizes, you can think of the Santos Dumont as a more refined Santos. As mentioned, the changes are subtle but significant. A thinner bezel with smaller screws, which are said to resemble ones found on the Eiffel Tower, addresses one of my biggest worries about the Santos, namely scratching up that acre of high polish on its pretty face. The refinement is carried onto the dial where you'll find a silver radiant sunburst that provides a beautiful backdrop for more elongated, thinner Roman numerals that stretch all the way to the edge of the dial where it meets a railroad minute track. Heat blued sword hands shine a brilliant blue at certain angles, and when you look closely, you'll find the signature Cartier inscription tattooed on the leg of the 7th hour marker. Cartier is almost 2 centuries old and are known as the jeweler to the kings. Now, are they a real watchmaker? And how does a company that makes everything from earrings to handbags end up with the title of the world's first men's watch? Well, for that, we'd have to consult Mr. Santos Dumont himself. Alberto Santos Dumont was a real Renaissance man who lived around the turn of the 20th century. The son of wealthy Brazilian coffee growers, he preoccupied himself with 2 things: flying and fashion. He flew everything he could get his hands on, from balloons to gliders, from helicopters to airplanes. In fact, in his home country of Brazil, it is well accepted that he had beat the Wright brothers to the punch. Story goes that Alberto needed a watch that he could quickly glance at while in the air and consulted with his dear friend Louis Cartier. The rest, as they say, was history. You'll notice that the Dumont watch is actually a more faithful rendition of the 1904 original, minus the Breguet style hands. But let's not also forget that Alberto was a well-known socialite and something of a dandy. This is defined as a man unduly devoted to style and fashion. So it's only fitting that his version of a pilot's watch looked nothing like a IWC Big Pilot. Guys, drop a like for this video, not for me, for the idea of Alberto and his hot blimp. The Santos Dumont comes in 3 sizes. I have here the small and the large. I guess they just forgot to make a medium. 2021 also gave us a XL, which is the only one that houses a mechanical Piaget movement. But on my 6.5 incher, I avoid anything called XL. Yes, we're still talking about watches. I have here the 2 quartz variants. Now, I know some of you might be tempted to switch off right now, but I'll tell you, for someone who abhors quartz personally, it might just make some sense here. One big reason I love mechanical is that I don't have to worry about a dead battery every year. Now, Cartier has worked with the manufacturer of this movement to extend the battery life to 6 years, which is about on par with the time frame of a service interval for a mechanical movement. Also, without a second hand, there is no ticking to remind you of its electronic heart. The case back is closed, even in the mechanical XL. If you must have a mechanical movement, don't let the XL moniker scare you. It's still about the same width as a medium Santos, therefore very reasonable. But be aware that a bigger dial to bezel ratio will look bigger on the wrist as well. Now, would we love a bracelet option with the Santos Dumont and maybe see that Piaget find its way down to the smaller variants? Absolutely. Unlike the normal Santos, the Dumont makes no qualms about trying to be sporty. A blue cabochon adorns the crown, a long, elegant, polished bevel runs the length of the case flowing into the lugs, and it only comes on a leather strap, which is a lovely blue croc that perfectly picks up on the blue of the hands. And Cartier's jewelry making chops is on full display as the strap ends tuck perfectly between the lugs, leaving no gap, and a quick release metal end integrates to the back for easy strap changes. So what is a sports watch anyway? I used to think that the Santos hardly qualified. To me, it looked like a dress watch stuck in a sports watch's body. Now, it's not just you. Nobody seems to be able to come up with a clear definition of a sports watch. The best answer I could find when I posted this on WatchCrunch came from James, who said, "I think we concentrate too much on how we use the word sports, as to mean some kind of physical, exerting activity. The word sport has its etymology in the French word for leisure." So I guess in that context, watches like the Reverso, the Nautilus, and the Santos begin to make sense as sports watches. On the wrist, the Santos Dumont, as you can imagine, is so sweet and just disappears under the tightest of cuffs. For giggles, here's the small in comparison on my wrist. Actually, it doesn't look that comical, as it's about the fit of a vintage Cartier. The thinness, even in the mechanical version, which remains under 8mm, lives in stark contrast to the outsized watches of today. So the Santos Dumont trades the brashness of the Santos De Cartier for slender lines, boldness for effortless style, much like how I imagine Mr. Santos Dumont himself would be like. And if you think about it, mechanical watches altogether are pretty outdated, anachronistic things. So I guess that makes all of us dandies? So what's a sports watch to you? Let's continue this conversation on watchcrunch.com. We created WatchCrunch because we wanted to build an online community of watch lovers who learned, laughed, and lusted after watches together without snobbery or judgment. We've gotten such a positive response so far that we're now working hard on apps for both Android and iOS. So come join the fun. I'll put a link to a thread on this topic in the pinned comments below. As always, great chat, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.